Welcome to the Resident Evil 4 review on the base model M1 MacBook Air. We will first look at how the game is downloaded, storage requirements, a few bugs I encountered, and finally if the game actually works. We will also go through a few different settings and see, in the end, if the game is able to play at 60 or 30 FPS. Downloading this game is actually quite easy. Just head over to the App Store, type in Resident Evil 4, and make sure you have at least 120 to 130 gigabytes of free storage. Now, you don't have to pay anything up front. You can actually play a small demo, which allows you to get through a few levels. So another issue that I encountered while setting up Resident Evil 4 on the M1 MacBook Air was that if you were to head into the options menu, into the graphics area, you can see here that the first option is actually the presets, and this sets the graphics settings to automatically match your system's performance, and there are 4 different presets. Now, the problem I encountered was that when I hit balance, as you guys can see here, it says recommended graphics memory between 4 to 8 gigabytes. Obviously, the base model M1 MacBook Air does not have this amount of RAM for the game. So if you were to hit balanced, you see there was a little error pop up there, and then the game kind of like the whole screen just goes black. And I tried restarting the game, I tried reinstalling the game, but none of that worked. So the actual solution to this is, first of all, you have to quit the game because the game won't work. Even if you were to launch it again, you would still get that black screen. So the main idea here is to head into the settings folder and delete that file. So you want to head into the Finder, hit Command-Shift-G. This is to go to a specific directory folder, and you want to make sure you have here users, your own username, library, and containers. And once you're in containers, you want to look for a folder that's called Biohazard Resident Evil 4. You want to open that up. Then you want to head to data, then to library, application support, Capcom, as you can see here, and then it's jp.co.capcom.re4us. And you will see that in that folder, there's a file called local_config.ini. Now, in order to fix this, all we have to do is send that to the bin, and then we would be able to launch the game once again. However, there is one important thing I have to say, that in order to create that file again so that the settings are saved, you actually have to get back into the settings menu and actually just save, just change any setting and save it. As you can see here, we go back into options, graphics, and let's just, for example, change this from quality to performance, and we hit A or X on your PlayStation controller, and as you can see, it will save in a minute. We hit X, we go back, and as you can see, there is a new file. So that would be a quick fix. So as mentioned earlier, there are quite a few settings here in the graphics section of the game. As you guys can see, I already went through the presets, but other than that, we also have screen resolution, frame rate, display mode, VSync, cinematics resolution, and what's most important and interesting to us is the Metal FX upscaling. Now, as you guys can see, what we usually have is off, quality, and performance. Not quite the same as we saw in Death Stranding, where we also had balanced and ultra. However, here, I'm not sure if it's limited due to the actual system, which is the M1, or just that the game came out only with these options. For the rest, you guys can see we have image quality rendering mode, texture quality, texture filtering, mesh quality, shadow quality, so on and so forth. You guys can see that there are lots of options here. We are not going to go through each and every single one of them. However, our aim here is to try to achieve the best performance when it comes to playing Resident Evil 4 on the M1 MacBook Air. So our first test will be using the performance preset, which caps the frame rate at 30 FPS and sets everything else to low. Now, as you guys can see, as the game starts, it seems that we do have, 30 FPS here right off the bat, though we will encounter some stuttering, just like right now, and, up ahead. But, overall, the graphics are looking pretty good. Like textures are looking nice, and you know, concerning at least, you know, the Mac's hardware, well, we're seeing right now that temperature's on the rise at around 67, 69 degrees Celsius. But I do have to say that in my findings, it doesn't go that much higher. So, you know, I believe we can say it's not gonna throttle, at least for now. These tests are actually quite short, but you know, usually when I do my tests, I'm just continuously playing the game, so I never actually allow the actual M1 MacBook Air to cool down between tests. Now, looking at the RAM, you can see that this game is heavy on RAM. We've been seeing this actually a lot lately with Resident Evil 8. We saw that it was also very hungry for RAM. We saw this recently with Death Stranding, which also went crazy for RAM. And you know, well, Resident Evil 4 wasn't going to be much different. Actually, in fact, I think it's the same game engine. I think it's RE engine. It's shared with Resident Evil 8. So, you know, I kind of expected performance to be the same. Now, as you guys can see here, while we're inside, the frame rate seems to be nice and stable at 30 FPS. Everything's much more smooth. And you know what? To be honest, it's a pretty good image, you know, despite the fact that it is set at, you know, everything is set at the lowest settings, since we're trying to, well, the system is trying to provide us with the most or the highest performance. So it's not looking that bad after all, you know, like obviously it's not PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X blasting 1440p 4K. But all in all, even here in this cutscene, the game is still looking pretty sharp. You know, given that this this laptop is fanless, only has 8 gigabytes of RAM, and you know, hey, it's actually it's the M1. You know what I mean? It's already almost a 4-year-old chip. So all in all, guys, you guys can see here for the performance preset, 30 FPS can be achieved. And not bad. So I'm just going to let you guys watch the rest of this gameplay. But stay tuned for the 900p, 1440p, and the final 1080p test.
This is not good. Man, that stinks.
Hey!
¡Contesta! ¡Necesito apoyo!
I read you.
¿Quién soy?
What's your situation? What the hell's going on?
What was that? fucking way. It just keeps getting worse.
Bruce, this is Condor 1.
Hunnigan here. What's your sit rep?
The President's daughter, Baby Eagle. It's likely she's in this village.
Our intel was correct then. Well done.
Need a location on a nearby lake. She may have been taken there.
Copy that. I'll see what I can find.
Hurry up. Something's happened to the people here. My escorts are... Gotta go. Talk later. I'll let myself out.
Okay, so here the main idea is see if we can actually get 60 FPS. And in order to do that, first of all, I drop every single graphics setting to low, even with the graphics resolution. I think it's the texture resolution, it was reduced to 50%. And even the resolution of the game itself, I dropped it from 1080p to 900p. So right off the bat, you guys can see that, yes, we are getting over 30 FPS, but no, we're not getting 60 FPS, at least outside. But it doesn't seem to stutter as much as it did, with my previous test at 1080p. However, quality went down. Quality went south. I'm seeing that the game, it appears to be much more fuzzy. The textures aren't as sharp as they were at 1080p. So, the drop in resolution here is really, you know, it's making me struggle with the visuals, you know,
Anyone home?
the visual fidelity, the quality, you know, at least in from my point of view, it isn't looking that nice. Like the 1080p, it was still looking okay. It was kind of sharp, textures were like nice and so on. But here, in my opinion, it's looking kind of cheap. And, you know, looking at the frame rate, well, it's kind of like a mess, guys. You know, sometimes it's going up, sometimes it's going down. Right now it's stuttering. Hey, it's under 30 right now, which kind of makes no sense. Now it's going all the way back up. It seems like, you know, while you're inside, now we're heading into a cutscene that brings it back up to 60, obviously. So, you know, obviously, as I already mentioned in the previous clip, we're not going to get 60 FPS here. This, you know, all these modern AAA games are hungry for RAM.
Sorry to
The
barge in like
CPU
this.
isn't. It's not like actively cooled. It also it's lacking that 8th GPU core. Everybody knows that the M1 in the MacBook Air only has 7 GPU cores, and that actually makes quite a difference. We've seen that make a difference compared to the M1 in the MacBook Pro or in the Mac Mini, which actually does have that 8th core. And, you know, believe it or not, it does make a difference, especially with my Mac Mini, which has 16 gigabytes of RAM. So, you know, despite it being the same CPU, we are getting a lot more performance. You know, first of all, because it's actively cooled. Second, because it does have that extra 8th core. And third, because it has double the RAM. And, you know, believe it or not, RAM here on the M1 series was actually a thing. So, guys, what can I say? Are we going to achieve 60 FPS? Well, the answer is no, obviously not. Like right now, it looks nice and smooth because, well, we're inside in a small area. But just look at that. I turned around quickly. The game stuttered. And probably because it has to load all the textures that are just behind, in front, all that we can't see, but's actually going on in the background. So, you know, we're not going to be able to achieve 60 FPS on this game, just as we weren't able to get them with Death Stranding and, you know, with Resident Evil 8. So, guys, if you want to check out the rest of the clip here for 1600 by 900p at 60 FPS, go ahead. But just stay tuned for the last 2 clips where I'm testing 1440p and 1080p, but the game actually crashes for some odd reason.
Hey.
¡Contesta! ¡Necesito apoyo!
I read you.
¿Quién soy?
What's your situation?
What the hell's going on?
What was that? No fucking way. This just keeps getting worse.
Everybody knows that the M1 and the MacBook Air isn't going to provide us a 1440p gaming experience, especially with these ported AAA games. We've seen Resident Evil 8, we've seen Death Stranding, and now we're taking a look at Resident Evil 4 Remake. Yeah, the game is set at a resolution of 1440p. Every single setting has been set to low, to the lowest setting possible. And, right now you guys are seeing a somewhat stable 30 FPS. But the game is actually stuttering like crazy. But I do want to point out that this 30 FPS isn't actually real or representative of what we're going to see, because, this is the very, very beginning of the game.
Anyone
There's
home?
barely 2 or 3 NPCs in the house right now. And, in general, there isn't much going on. Once we head over to the village, to the first village where they're burning the police officer, that's when the frame rate is going to take a hit. But actually, that's when things get kind of messy. The game crashes for some odd reason. Once you get into the village, for some odd reason, the game crashed. At first, I thought this could be due to the lack of RAM, since, I kind of saw this with Death Stranding, where the specific parts of the game, especially with that shower thingamajiggy, there was a memory leak, and it would just cause a
Sorry to
crash in the
barge in like
game.
this.
I also thought that maybe it could be related to the resolution. Higher resolution for textures will demand more RAM, video RAM in this case, but not sure if that was the case. And maybe just RAM in general. But, I did decide to test the game with 1080p, see if that was the case. But, the game crashed anyway with 1080p. Now, on the other hand, I do have to say that performance is actually pretty awesome. That is the M1 MacBook Air, fanless, with only 7 GPU cores, 2 GB of RAM, barely any storage on this system. You guys can see that the GPU is the bottleneck. The CPU is, it's almost sleeping at 12-13%. And, what actually surprises me even more is the temperature. It's running at 55 degrees Celsius. I do have to point out that the room temperature right now is around 20 to 21 degrees Celsius, so that does help too. But, yeah, so we can say that we do avoid thermal throttling here. Temperatures don't really go over 60 degrees here, as long as we keep all the settings to low. But as I said earlier, the game, as you guys can already see, is stuttering like crazy. Frame rate will drop ahead, and all in all, the game crashes. So if you guys I'm gonna let you guys watch the rest of the clip here if you want to see how the game feels and performs at 1440p. But stay tuned for the last test with 1080p.
Contesta, necesito apoyo.
I read you.
¿Quién soy?
What's your situation?
What the hell's going on?
What was that? No fucking way. It just keeps getting worse. Shit.
¡Un forastero! ¡Empieza a rezar!
Damn it.
So last but not least, I'm testing here once again 1080p, and I decided to test the game as much as I could because, as I said earlier, 5 minutes, 10 minutes of testing isn't enough. However, I encountered the same issue as I did with 1440p resolution. Once we actually get into the village, the game does crash. Now, I'm not really sure why it crashes now. Before, I thought it was due to resolution, RAM issues, this and that, but it seems to crash too. And we're still getting those hiccups, it's stuttering every now and then. And, not sure really what's going on here. Like, at first the game seems nice, smooth, playable, but it did crash twice It could be due to this being maybe a different version of Mac OS, or maybe it's lacking an update, or I don't know, maybe it has something to do, I don't know, it could be software related, or I don't know. I really don't know. Or maybe it's just not powerful enough, and we encounter an environment, we encounter an area which is just more demanding. All I can say, guys, is, well, the game isn't running. Fortunately, you can download the game, test it yourself, see what happens without actually having to pay a single penny. That's actually kind of good. That's, that actually saves us lots of time and money. Just as I said before at the beginning of the video, taking into account that you will need tons of storage, and on the base model M1 MacBook Air, that's actually an issue. If you are still, if you have the 256 gigabyte SSD, you're actually going to need more than 50% of that to be available for this to download and extract and install, right? So, there's a lot of things to take into consideration. Also, the bug at the beginning with the presets. But luckily we got around that, but unfortunately we weren't able to get around the crash. So guys, if you watch this video until the end, you will see that once we're in the village fighting against the other infected zombie villagers, the game just crashes to the desktop. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more content.
Detrás de ti.
¡No te puedes esconder!
¡No te puedes esconder! ¡Puedes!
Here we go.
¡Ahí va eso!